Hey, welcome. In a world that is just jam-packed with the latest and greatest high-tech smartphones, have you ever stopped to wonder which mobile phone has actually sold more than any other in history? Well, we're about to find out. Let's dig in and find the true champion of mobile sales. So, what's your guess? An early iPhone? Maybe a classic flip phone from back in the day? I'll tell you what, the answer is probably not what you're thinking. We're going to count down the top 15 bestsellers to find our winner. The whole contest really boils down to these two giants. In one corner, you've got the iconic, let's be honest, indestructible Nokia. And in the other, the revolutionary Apple iPhone that literally changed the world. So, which one comes out on top? Let's find out. Okay, let's kick off our countdown at number 15. And as you're about to see, the bottom half of this list is pretty much dominated by names you'll definitely recognize from the modern smartphone era. Starting things off at number 15, we've got the iPhone 5 with a really impressive 14 million units sold. But check out this mix. Right above it, a classic Samsung feature phone, and then a trifecta of Nokia models, two old-school candy bars and one of their early stabs at a touchscreen, all hovering right around that 150 million mark. So, right after that interesting mix of old and new, we hit a point where one particular brand really starts to take over. As we break into the top 10, you might want to get used to seeing that famous Apple logo. And here we go. Kicking off the top 10 is the colorful iPhone XR. This phone just hit that perfect sweet spot between price and features, selling a massive 151 million units. I mean, what a huge success for Apple. All right, moving on up to number 9, the trend continues. It's the iPhone 11, which basically took everything that made the XR great and made it even better. And the sales show it, an even more incredible 159 million units sold. And rounding out this little block of Apple dominance at number 8, we have the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus family. Together, they sold 160 million units. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking Apple is just unstoppable, right? Well, things are about to get really, really interesting. Just when you think you've figured out the pattern, this list takes a hard left turn. An absolute icon from the past is about to crash the smartphone party and pretty much challenge everything we thought we knew about this list. And there it is, at number 7, selling 161 million units. Beating out 3 different generations of the iPhone, it's the legendary Nokia 3210. For so many of us, this was it. This was our very first mobile phone. What a piece of history. This really just says it all, doesn't it? These phones were famous for being, well, impossible to break. They had a battery that lasted for days, not hours. And of course, they had Snake. So simple, but man, was it addictive. Just to put this into perspective for a second, the iPhone 7 has this beautiful high-def screen, a camera that's basically professional grade, and an app store with millions of apps. The Nokia 3210 from 1999 had a tiny black and white screen, and, well, you could call people and send texts. So how in the world did it sell so many? We're getting closer to the answer. But hold on, the fight is not over. Apple comes roaring back at number 6 with the iPhone 5S. This was the first phone with Touch ID, remember? Selling a super strong 165 million units. This race is unbelievably close. And now we're cracking the top 5. And it's Apple again. The iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, with their cool new 3D Touch feature, sold a combined 174 million units. There's no denying Apple is a sales powerhouse. But is it going to be enough? And bam, this is just a perfect example of the power of keeping things simple. At number 4, we've got the Nokia 105 series. Now, just look at that number, a gigantic leap up to 200 million units sold. And this isn't some vintage phone from the 90s, it's a modern feature phone that just proves there's still a massive market for devices that are just simple and reliable. Okay, here we are, the final 3, the podium. This is the absolute final showdown between the 2 biggest names in the history of mobile phones. So who's going to take the crown? Taking the bronze medal is Apple's undisputed champion, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, with their brand new, larger designs or an absolute game changer. They sold a staggering 222 million units. This is, without a doubt, the best-selling smartphone of all time. But it is not the best-selling phone. In second place, flying right past Apple's absolute best, is the Nokia 1110. With 248 million sales, this super simple, incredibly user-friendly phone proved that sometimes accessibility and reliability can beat high-tech features. A dumb phone beat the best iPhone ever made. Which, of course, leaves just one question. Who is number one? After all that, which single device holds the all-time record? And there you have it. The single best-selling mobile phone in history is the humble, the tough, the absolutely legendary Nokia 1100. Just look at that number. 250 million units sold. 250 million. That is just a monumental achievement. It completely cements Nokia's place in history as the true king of mobile sales. So, the big question is, why? How did these incredibly basic Nokia phones manage to outsell the most advanced, most desirable smartphones on the entire planet? Well, the answer really comes down to a few key things. It all boils down to this. First, global accessibility. These phones were sold literally everywhere, especially in developing countries where an iPhone was just way too expensive. Second, that legendary durability. We all know the memes, the stories of these things surviving just about anything. Third, that crazy long battery life, which is a killer feature in places with unreliable electricity. And finally, the price. It was unbeatable. They were affordable for almost everyone on Earth. It wasn't just a phone for the wealthy parts of the world, it was a phone for the entire world. And all this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As our lives get more and more tangled up in the digital world, is there still a place for simplicity? Could a device that just focuses on being durable, having a great battery, and making basic connections ever truly challenge the smartphone giants again? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.